Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Rogue Ales, and they're headquartered in Newport, Oregon, and this is their Berry Blonde. So this is a blonde ale with natural flavors that comes in at 4.7% alcohol by volume, 15 IBUs at the time of review, and this can is approximately 7 weeks old. So I'm reviewing this as a shelfie beer for the month of June 2025. It's been about 6 months since I reviewed something from Rogue, so I thought I would pick up one of their newest seasonals. So they have a little spiel here on the side of the can. It says, among Oregon's tangled vines and brambles thrive the sweet marionberries and juicy plums that burst forth in our berry blonde ale. So marionberries make sense. I know they're very popular in Oregon, and it's basically a variety of blackberry. Plums, however, as far as I know, are not berries. So the fact that they call this a berry blonde, sure, marionberries, but plums? Nah, bro. So anyway, I don't like that they use natural flavors. I hate that nowadays. It seems when I see natural flavors in beers and I pick them up and I drink them, they're always natural, aka artificial. But I mean, they're not artificial, but they taste artificial. So hopefully that's not the case here. I don't want some sweet over like candied blackberry. I want authentic blackberries. And based on the color of this, it looks like there is real berries of some sort in here. Because it does have a darker vibe than you would get from just a blonde ale. So if you look at the beer here and all my hand smudges and shit on it, what does that look like? To me, that looks like a beer that definitely has some kind of fruit in it. It has like this darker kind of orange color. It almost has like this slight like purple tint to it on camera. It just looks like probably like a dark, like oxidized IPA, right? It has like that dark orange color. Had about a finger of an off-white head that was soap sudsy is now dissipated to a thin film. So if they're using like real fruits, who knows? Maybe the oils from the fruits, whatever, knocked down the head, who knows? It does have a pretty good clarity. We'll see if you'll see through the side here, but let me go underneath here, just see if that does anything. But yeah, it has a decent clarity. It's a little bit, hold up to light. It has like a gentle haze to it, but it has a nice clarity to it. So anyway, I would say that looks kind of what I expected, although if you're using marionberries and I think plums, I'd want it to have more of like a purplish kind of tinge to it, but whatever, nose. Yeah, it has that candied kind of berry scent. I wouldn't specify blackberries or marionberries or anything. It honestly smells like a, if you've ever had like a blackberry flavored, pretty much any kind of sweet drink, right? That's what it smells like. It smells like candied blackberries or candied berries. A little bit of a biscuity vibe from the blonde ale. It does smell like it's going to be quite sweet, though. I'll just be honest with you. There's a little bit of an authentic like berry scent that I wouldn't specify in the nose. Like it could be raspberry, it could be strawberry, it could be blueberries, it could be blackberries, it could be whatever. But for the most part, it's like it almost is giving off like a grape kind of smell, like a grape Kool-Aid or something. Yeah, the smell is disappointing. Why? The natural flavors. I would just like to see this brewed with like real berries, and even if they are brewed with real berries, put it on the label, right? In this situation, regardless of whether it's real berries or just natural flavors, as they say, it's candied. It doesn't smell super authentic. Hopefully it's not crazy sweet. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Thankfully, the taste isn't overbearing with like a huge candied sweetness, but it is there. It's less sweet than I thought it was going to be, but there is this weird finish that, as I was just talking, I'm like, all right, everything's cool. All right, let me go back for a sip. That's a weird finish. I don't like that finish. All right, so the finish is astringent. Buying this one, I'd say lower side of medium. It's not thin and watery, but it's also not that big. It's 4.7%. You expect it. The mouthfeel, very effervescent. Higher side of moderate carbonation. Spritzy on the palate. Smooth going down in the back half, like as far as like the mouthfeel is concerned, but not smooth as far as like the astringency is concerned. So the body and mouthfeel are fine. In fact, I think the body's a little bit better than anticipated. The taste, everything's cool until like the last 10-15% of the palate. So right up front, there's a nice kind of, we'll say generic berry kind of characteristic at the forefront. Not overly sweet. There is a little bit of a candied vibe. You could say blackberries. I would say, honestly, doing this blind, I'd say like blackberries and raspberries are like, kind of a hybrid. Like a boysenberry, right? That's kind of where it's leaning more towards more towards like a boysenberry than a marionberry. That all hits me at the forefront, but it's sweet. There's a little bit of like a tartness. It's like it's more authentic than the nose was giving off. As it passes through that plum, sure, you say plum, apricot, maybe even like a nectarine. It has a definite stone fruit vibe. I wouldn't specify plums, but I see where they're going with it. There's an underlying omnipresent kind of biscuity malt character from the blonde ale, which is fine. However, on the finish, as you start to swallow it, and like again, the first say 85-90% of the palate, I'm like, all right, this is fine. This is like a crushable low ABV fruit beer, right? Yeah, there's this stringent, almost like you took like a pixie stick or like a Kool-Aid packet and just started eating that, or like, putting it down without any water or anything. It's giving me like, if you've ever, as a kid, couldn't swallow an aspirin or didn't want to swallow an aspirin, or at any point in life, if you've ever bit accidentally into an aspirin of any kind, it has that aspirin kind of astringent bitterness. It's almost like medicinal on the finish. And everything was cool until, like, I was like, as you know, I was like, all right, this isn't that bad. And I was like, ooh, that finish, right? It's astringent. It's slightly medicinal, aspirin-esque, maybe even like a caffeine pill. Like, just has that bitterness you would associate with something like that. It doesn't completely ruin the beer for me, but it ruins it enough where, like, I'm not a fan. We'll just leave it at that. It does have a dryness. Again, there's a lot of pros to this one that I didn't think was going to happen based on the nose. It's not overly sweet, has a decent balance. I do get the blonde ale base. The actual characteristics from the natural flavors taste a little bit more authentic than I was giving credit for in the nose, but that finish kind of just negates all that. 4.7%, you can't tell. I don't want to drink any more of this. I'm pouring the rest in. I already drank probably too much of this, and I'm not happy about it. Yeah, I mean, I can't recommend this one. I'm not saying this is a bad beer. You might pick this one up and be like, oh, I don't get that astringent finish. It's a low ABV fruit beer. It's fine. I get that. Everybody's different. I do these reviews, and a lot of you will agree with me. Some of you will disagree. It is what it is. We all have different palates. So if you come to this review and you're like, I disagree with you, I like it, that's what I want to hear. Or say, hey, I agree with you. I picked this one up and, I didn't like it. Or, hey, I'm never going to buy that because of the natural flavors. I totally get all angles. For me, Rogue's Berry Blonde, it's decently balanced, has a nice dryness, no bitterness other than that like astringent, weird, like medicinal, like caffeine pill / aspirin bitterness. But it's just not one I revisit. So I'm going to give it it's not undrinkable, not a drain pour per se. Although, you know what? Fuck me. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to give a super low. I might finish, I'm probably going to save that for my dad to see if he likes it. He likes berry beers and he likes, fruit beers in general. I would probably drink the rest of that just because there's not that much left. I already drank it. I just don't want to. So probably lowest score I gave to Rogue in a long time, but I'm going to give this just a straight 2.75 out of 5. That's Rogue's Berry Blonde, 2.75 out of 5. So I'm passing it barely. 2.5 is a passing score on my channel, so slightly above passing, but yeah, I don't know. Not a huge fan. Price point and availability, I think like a 6-pack of this was like $12-13, something like that. It wasn't too much, maybe 14 at the most, but 4.7%. It's a berry blonde ale. I would like to see this no more than $12 a 6-pack. So if you have to pay more than that, I would not recommend it, but I'm not recommending this at all. It's just not for me. And I like a lot of Rogue beers. You guys know I reviewed a lot of Rogue beers on the channel. I get down with especially a lot of their old school offerings, but this is not a new school offering from them that I personally care for, but you might be different. And the availability, I don't know with Rogue anymore. I don't know about distribution. I always seem to mention a viewer of the channel, Chaz, a lot when we talk distro, because him and we have a good back and forth. He always comments on the distribution, and then I give him my opinion. We have a good back and forth, but the distro in the U.S. specifically when it comes to these bigger regional national breweries is just hit or miss nowadays. Like you'll get a specific brewery like Lagunitas, for example, that will be like, oh, people can be like, I get their IPA and a couple of their other year-round offerings, but they're seasonal. Don't get them. Sometimes we get them. Same thing here in the Buffalo, New York area. Sometimes we see Rogue seasonal. Sometimes we don't. Some of their old school offerings we just don't get anymore. It's weird. So with distro, it's very odd. My recommendation for everybody out there looking for a specific beer, go to the website of a brewery and see if they have a beer finder. It's not always going to be accurate, but it's the best way to try to find out, or just do a search for the beer on Google. You might see some places you can order online. Outside of that, just check your local check your local bottle shops and beer stores and grocery stores. That's the best way to figure out if it's in your area. So I did not like this. 2.75 out of 5, barely passing, but can't recommend it. So if you've had this one before, please post in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Not an absolutely horrible, horrendous beer, just not one I would ever revisit from Rogue. So it is what it is. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review. To the next one. Cheers.